The Pokémon Company has released a brand new trailer for Pokémon Sun and Moon, and much like the first trailer for the 7th generation, it features many scenes that compare life to Pokémon. Kids are playing games, enjoying their summer, and having a great time with family and friends while showing brand new footage of Sun and Moon. And there is plenty to see in just these few moments. So, it's time to unpack the old analysis machine to see what secrets and hidden details we can find. Of course, be sure to watch our previous Pokemon analyses, as we'll only be covering the new stuff here. Let's begin with the Pokemon themselves, as we get to see them taking part in the new Battle Royale multiplayer mode. There's nothing really new shown about the mode itself, except we do see that Litten eventually learns Fire Fang, and Rowlet uses what seems to be Razor Leaf in order to hit all three of its opponents at once. It may be minor, but we'll return to the Battle Royale later to take a closer look at the trainers. For now, let's switch our focus to Eevee, which can be caught in the wild in Alola. Now, while this is big news for fans of Eevee, the trailer also shows that there are only 8 Pokeball symbols surrounding it, which means that there won't be any new Eevee evolutions. And we highly doubt the developers are hiding any, since this falls in line with the trend that new evolutions are only introduced in even-numbered generations. But, speaking of numbers, we also see that Eevee is number 123 in one of the Pokédexes. We unfortunately have no way to tell which island's Pokédex this is from, or whether it's from the compiled Alola region dex. But it is a rather high number on the list, indicating that Eevee can't be caught until sometime later in the game. Plenty of other Pokemon were shown during the trailer as well, ranging from classics to new ones that we've already been introduced to. But it was during the trading sequence that we were provided our first in-game look at Mimikyu, a ghost and fairy type that was recently revealed in CoroCoro magazine. Unfortunately, we don't know its official English name yet, though more information did come out about Mimikyu. Rather than imitating any Pokemon it sees, Mimikyu uses a costume based on Pikachu merchandise that was popular 20 years ago, specifically because it wants to be loved like Pikachu. That is so heartbreakingly sweet that we know it'll earn plenty of fans itself. But we also saw the other CoroCoro Pokemon, Kitaraguma. However, we didn't see either in action as they were being traded, but it likely won't be long until the American branch of the Pokemon Company reveals more about these two. But the game also reveals a few new locations that we haven't seen before. The first can be seen on the top screen of the boys' 3DS and seems to showcase a new route. We can see a route sign nearby, but it's too blurry to make out the exact number. Based on the surroundings though, we have a feeling that this is still on Melemele Island. Next, we see another area near a pool of water. It seems too small to be a lake, though it may be a hot spring of some sort. There is plenty of tall grass nearby, and we can see a Pokeball next to what appears to be a tree stump. And on the right is an NPC, probably another trainer. Later on, we see the clearing that we've seen in previous trailers, along with the dark forest or cave. But between those scenes, there's footage of the trainer walking up a volcano path with lava on either side and lit torches at the top. This has to be the top of the northeastern island, though we can't make out any specific landmarks on the map. So what is the trainer traveling toward in this scene? Could it be a gym, or is there something else waiting just on the other side? Continuing on, we get our first good look at the bottom screen when the player is not using the new map. 6 icons are shown, with the top left displaying the Pokeball symbol, which is where we can access our Pokemon like usual. Next to it is the Rotom Dex, and below that is the save option. Beneath the Pokemon icon is the item bag, where we can access the Dusk Ball, Great Ball, and Premier Ball shown later in the trailer. The bottom left icon is the Trainer Pass, where you can view your progress, playtime, and money. Finally, the bottom right icon is for something called Poke Replay, which may allow players to record and rewatch their battles based simply on the name. That's not everything though. At the very top we can see a small arrow pointing to the right and indicating that there's more to see. We'd expect that this is where global trading and Pokemon Ami will be accessed, and the trailer even provides a small taste of the new Pokemon Ami. In it, we see new grooming options for your Pokemon. While we don't know the full extent, we do see that players can use a Porygon-shaped hairdryer on Pikachu, which greatly raises its happiness. Once the grooming is finished, more options appear. The bottom displays icons for exiting Pokemon Ami on the left, while the right simply allows players to change the Pokemon being featured. It's the icons at the top that has our interest though. While the one on the right indicates more grooming options, the left option seems to be where games and food are chosen for the Pokemon. But it is an odd symbol considering it looks like a train track and a bean. And then we have the trainers, which is by far the biggest reveal of the trailer. Right off the bat we see several more clothing options on display during the Battle Royal. One trainer has a plain black hat and a tank top featuring a Pikachu surfing on a rainbow wave, which is just so great that we want one in real life. The other trainer is wearing a red t-shirt and no hat at all, so it looks like players won't be forced to wear some kind of hat when customizing their character's style. The trailer itself also has some trendy clothes. During the scene where the kids are setting off fireworks, one of the boys is wearing a shirt that says "In Love with Alola." Watching this trailer, we don't really blame him. There are other small sequences as well. One features the trainer with his mother, though there's really not much context to it. We assume that this is when you officially begin your journey and are getting ready to set out. That could be why Meowth is waiting in the background as well. Another scene shows the trainer, Hal, and Lily riding a high-speed boat together. All of them look excited, and it's very likely the boat is meant to take them to the next island. It's interesting that the three are all together though. Usually either the player or the rival is ahead, and rarely do they travel to the exact same place together. It may be that the friendship between these three will be a major focus of the story. Another element that seems to be getting expanded is the ability to ride Pokemon. We saw a screenshot of this with the trainer riding a Stoutland, something shown once again in this trailer. But now we see that it's also possible to ride a Tauros on land as well. To what end, we're not sure, but it seems possible to really speed along with it. But this isn't always the case. Just before Tauros takes off into its charge, we can see that there's no energy surrounding it. So it seems that Tauros needs to build up to that speed, or the player is able to urge it forward with a button press like Epona in Ocarina of Time. Like with Stoutland, we can see that the trainer is also wearing some kind of gear, which is obviously for safety purposes. But we're not sure if this indicates that only certain locations allow Pokemon to be ridden and the trainer must change beforehand, or if the player changes automatically when mounting a Pokemon. At the very least, we know that this takes place on Melee Island, as we can see the wooden bridge that's placed over a waterfall. But we do see something new besides the two NPCs in the background. On the left side are two green signs which may point the way toward towns. Along with Tauros and Stoutland, we see the trainer riding a Lapras and a Sharpedo. Both are wearing some kind of harness or saddle, which has never been the case before in previous games. These contraptions are also completely different from one another. The one on Lapras looks like it's designed for a more leisurely pace, while the one on Sharpedo appears to be reminiscent of jet ski seats, both of which make sense. The trainer is also wearing the same gear as with Stoutland and Tauros, which could mean that this is the new animation for Surf. But does this mean that each Pokemon that can use Surf will be animated in this way? Or are only certain Pokemon featured like an Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire? But then we have our biggest mystery, which involves the trainers posing in several positions, which seems to power up their Pokemon. We first see this with Pikachu in the trailer. The trainer positions his arms in a strange formation while energy bursts around him. It then cuts to a Pikachu that has a yellow energy heading straight for it. This appears to be powering it up, based on the yellow aura lines that surround Pikachu and the fact that its cheeks are lighting up. The scene cuts again to show an electric energy ball surrounding Pikachu as it sends a huge burst of lightning forward. Based on these three scenes, it seems that players will be able to power their Pokemon for a kind of super attack. Fortunately, the trailer shows this again, allowing us to break it down even further. We believe the process of starting this new attack begins here. The trainer raises his arm with the bracelet into the air as fiery energy surrounds the jewel and a symbol appears before him, which may indicate the beginning of the trainer's role. But even beyond that, the symbol matches the shape of the bracelet itself. The top part is just above the jewel, while the bottom is the shape of the jewel when placed on the bracelet. We can clearly see all of this when the trainer raises his arms in front of his face, displaying the bracelet. Interestingly, the jewel is nowhere to be seen in this moment, so it seems to disappear when performing the dance. but we know it was there before as there's a red trail emanating from the bracelet as he moves his arms and prepares the dance. Well, we believe it's a dance anyway, since all we really see are the trainers performing a series of poses. She raises one arm while gripping the other, and he waves his arms from side to side. However, we don't think these are shown in the correct order. The cuts are happening too often, and the sequence begins with the trainer outstretching his arms and legs while energy bursts around him. But that's also the exact same pose he's in as the energy flows out of him and into Rowlet, so the dance sequence must end there. We then see that Rowlet, Litten, and Popplio have the same yellow aura surrounding them that Pikachu had. The difference is that their type symbol appears before them, which likely indicates what kind of attack is being powered up. The trailer then shows the super move for each of the starters. First, we see a Lillipup in the middle of a field of multicolored leaves before a wave of green energy bursts from the ground below it. Next, we see a giant fireball shooting forward, but for a single frame, we can just barely see a Pokemon's outline, who we presume to be Litten. So the fireball surrounds Litten before shooting out towards its opponent. Finally, we see a giant water blast that sweeps Ladybug into a whirlpool, which would be Popplio's special attack. There's one interesting connection between all the Pokemon that we see using special attacks. They're not the final evolution of their line, and CoroCoro magazine has even hinted that Rockruff shares something special with the three starters. Could this kind of special attack be it? And if it is, could it be that this maneuver can only be done with non-final evolutions, making these early forms more viable in battle later in the game? We can't be sure of any of this, but we do think that Mega Evolution will return. In this scene where the trainer is spreading his arms, we can see the symbols surrounding his bracelet. They're all a diamond shape like that jewel, except for the circle at his wrist. It would make sense that this is where the Mega Evolution keystone would be placed. So if we're correct, it seems some Pokemon will be able to use super powerful moves before their final evolution, while Mega Evolution powers the Pokemon completely once they've fully evolved. It's a crazy idea, but Sun and Moon seems to be introducing a lot of new concepts. The bigger question is if these super moves are the synchronization that have been rumored, and honestly, we don't think so. Synchro, at least from what we've seen in the anime, doesn't require jewels, and we've only seen it used with Ash and Greninja, who is a fully evolved Pokemon. So, maybe Synchro will be possible with Pokemon who can use the super attacks but can't Mega Evolve when they reach their final form. We're honestly just spitballing at this point, but we can't imagine the anime introducing something like Synchro and not have it also appear in the games. Nevertheless, the trailer does a fantastic job of keeping us excited for Pokémon Sun and Moon. The potential new systems are intriguing, and it seems to capture that adventurous spirit. More news is bound to come out about the game soon, and we'll be there to cover it as always. Of course, let us know if we missed anything in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to keep up with everything we do. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to Game Explained for more on Pokemon and other things gaming.